For most of Matthew 23, Jesus goes on and on about the hypocrisy of the Pharisees. They often taught what was good, but rarely did they practice what they preached. But even when they did teach the truth, they did so in such a way as to make obedience a burden. So ultimately, their message didn't point people to the grace of God, because they didn't know the grace of God for themselves. Everything that they did was only to receive praise from men. They lived morally in public, but immorally in private. They cherished the sins of their hearts, and they exalted themselves above everybody else. But before we look down on them too much, we could be guilty of the very same things. One of the biggest criticisms of the Christian church today is that we're a bunch of hypocrites, that we don't practice what we preach, that we tell others how to live, but aren't willing to live that way ourselves. We've each got to take an honest look at ourselves and our relationship with God and come to the realization that we're only saved by the grace of God. We're no better than anybody else. And even when we've walked with Christ for a long time, our growth in Christ hasn't made us any better than our unbelieving friends. We're still sinners saved by grace. So we should never try to appear more righteous than we actually are. We don't want to blatantly sin, either in public or in private. But we should never act like we've got it all together either. We should never act as though our lives are perfect, because they're not. Christ makes a huge difference in our lives, but we're still sinners, and we still need grace. How can you humbly show others that you're not perfect? Because we're never going to reach people with the gospel if we're sending out a message of hypocrisy. They see right through that. Instead, be real and open, and humbly share the grace of God that you're still relying upon out of the riches of God's goodness. God bless you, and see you tomorrow.